So as we move on now, one of the things that we are very proud of at CGA is our partnerships with the Karnataka government. And joining us today to speak more about that is Ms. Mahadevan, Additional Chief Secretary in the Department of Rural Development and Panchayat Raj, Government of Karnataka. Ms. Mahadevan couldn't make it in person to be with us today, unfortunately, because Parliament is in session, but she has very kindly agreed to take time off from her very busy schedule to join us virtually. Ms. Mahadevan has served in multiple capacities at the centre and the state. Prominent among them are the departments of Women and Child Development, Planning, Agriculture, Education, and Health and Family Welfare. She has also served in the Department of Atomic Energy, Government of India, and the Tata Institute of Fundamental Research. As Additional Chief Secretary, she guides the three-tier Panchayat Raj institutions towards the holistic development of rural areas in Karnataka. She is also the Director of the Fiscal Policy Institute, Government of Karnataka. Welcome, ma'am, and thank you so much for joining us today and making time from your busy schedule.
Thank you. It's a great pleasure to be here at the launch of the Center for Gender Analysis of the Just Jobs Network. Honorable Minister Shri Dharmendra Pradhan, Ms. Aarti Ahuja, Dr. Pranab Sen, Mr. Anurag Beher, Sabina Devan, other distinguished guests, panelists, and speakers. We have all collectively worked to use progressive legislation, policy, programs, and to bring change for the better in people's lives. One of the most pressing challenges before us today in the 21st century is to promote better work for everybody. And to do this, we need, in the 21st century, we need evidence-based solutions that are robust, that are nimble, that keep up with changing trends and changing priorities, changing needs. Specifically, my interest is in promoting women's labor force participation, not just instrumentally for a stronger economy, but for women's empowerment in itself, which is valuable and important in itself. In Karnataka, we have had a special focus on promoting women's equality, women's economic and social empowerment. Several years ago, when I was in the Department of Women and Child Development, we brought a maternal nutrition scheme for hot meals for women called Matru Purna. And happy to say that an independent evaluation showed that this change in the process of delivering maternal nutrition to mothers, poor mothers, actually was able to bring reduction in the high rates of anemia. It was able to reduce the rates of low birth weight among babies. And as a special bonus, it was actually able to improve women's well-being, maternal well-being during pregnancy and post-pregnancy. Happy to say that we have a special MoU with the Center for Gender Analysis of Just Jobs Network to now study and evaluate and see the impact of some of our new schemes, such as Shakti, which is the free bus mobility scheme for women and girls, which has been launched this year, which has tremendous potential for women's social, political empowerment, for livelihoods, for higher education, and we're studying all of that. We also have an impending MoU, which is in the pipeline, for gender budgeting in local government institutions, panchayats specifically, and how local governance can become more gender responsive. This, again, is something that we started a couple of years ago, but we'd like to understand through evidence and through a detailed field analysis how we can improve gender responsive local governance at what I always call the first mile, not the last mile. The last mile is a metaphor from telecommunications, but I think local governments can actually regard people, every individual person, at the first mile, and that's what we're trying to do. We have an interesting new cash transfer scheme, the Griha Lakshmi scheme, which is being given to one woman in every household. And I'm very happy to say that when the scheme was launched, we found women drawing rangolis outside their homes and outside their self-help group work sheds and so on, saying, Nanu Griha Lakshmi, Nanu Yajmani. I am the Griha Lakshmi, I am the Yajmani. That is I am the head of my household. I'm the woman head of my household. And that itself was a very empowering message that came through. We're very interested in learning how women are able to use this cash transfer and leverage it for, again, higher education, other livelihoods, self-employment, and other needs as well as savings. We are interested in promoting women's participation in a greater way in MG Narega, for which this year we have launched and are in the process of completing the launch of 4,000 childcare centers, Kusinamane, for the children, young children of rural workers, Manrega workers. This specifically caters to children between the ages of 6 months and 3 years who are not covered and not enrolled in the Anganwadis for day-to-day attendance. They do get take-home rations from the Anganwadis, but they don't come to the Anganwadis. And when we had focus group discussions and visited the field to understand some of the barriers to women's participation in the workforce, we found that there was a great need for rural childcare. So happy to say that this is again something that we plan to partner with the Center for Gender Analysis. Ideally, how can gender budgets be used to look at the status of women and girls in the state and to provide improved, better outcomes for women and girls? How can we get them better bargaining power, decision-making power, not only in the homes, but also in the workplace, in educational institutions, and so on? Another area where we plan to have a partnership, as I said, in Panchayat Raj, is a very unique initiative that we have launched in the last 2 years for rural solid waste management by women's groups. We found that the poorest and most destitute women were anyway doing the segregation of mixed waste, which is completely undesirable because mixed waste should never be collected. Waste should be segregated at source. And so when we transform the process to have an agreement between the Gram Panchayat and the Federation of the Women's Self-Help Groups and transformed it to give training to women self-help groups to do end-to-end management of the solid waste, we found that women were much better at carrying out the behavior change communication, carrying out the information regarding segregation at source. We now have, I'm happy to say, 2.5 years later, after we started the initiative, we have more than 11,000 trained women working in the area of solid waste management in segregation, and an additional 2,600 women, trained women, driving the auto tippers, which is again a remarkable story because for each of these women, each of these 2,600 women, they have fought prejudice, they have overcome obstacles, they have fought all kinds of barriers and arrived at this position where they have a driving license and they're driving these vehicles across different panchayats in rural Karnataka. What we discovered was that when we embed a gender perspective and when we embed women's empowerment as a necessary part, not as an instrumental thing, but as a part of our approach to sustainability, we win, and so do communities, rural communities. I once again congratulate the Just Jobs Network and look forward to the great work that's going to happen at the Center for Gender Analysis. Thank you for having me, and I wish you all the best.